Body by Claire, and no evidence of supporting devices to ward off gravity. I designed a brand name and opened a store to account for my well-balanced life. Body Not by Claire, Cheapadoodle, Find the Dandy, Copy Me Cat, Grass the Crazel, and other names flashed my mind before I settled on the effervescence of my nutty side. Hazel. I am a hazelnut, and hazelnutters will be my fan club someday. My store, Hazelnut by Claire, will be a place to envision, regain your self worth, shape the life you desire through inspiration, good lifestyle choices, diet and exercise, well intended memes, paper goods, and my books, among others, in order to find your own natural balance in your own way. Balance for me can be anything between teetering on crazy and bordering on hectic paranoia, despite my efforts to be calm and well structured. But I really do believe there is a way to regain some sort of composure and peace of mind, despite the fact there always seems to be a drawer of clutter or a side of the closet for my structural Virgorian bohemian style. Nevertheless, I obsess over the idea of having a life which resembles a decoration store, everything tidy and neatly in its place. My body would fit well in this structure if it didn't overflow around the seams from time to time. So, here's a well known fact: I care. I work out and I try to eat well. I'm vegan and environmentally conscious and like to be round around the edges, Latino speaking here. More grabbing handles for cuddling and still looking strong and healthy. But the older you get, the harder it is to keep up. Sadly and satirically, with good old Madam Gravity, the push and shove becomes something else and completely unexpected. Jeans and spandex have a different meaning, and the relaxed life of a writer actress in sexy lingerie takes a toll. The truth is, you have to love who you are in the mirror and off. Therefore, I went on a voluminizing workout regime which gave me an appearance which resembled that of 1940s actor, with more curves than most of my guy friends can handle. I like racy curves to inspire affection and desire, not lust. So, I guess the glamazon version of me is quite perfect for this. I am enjoying this entry into latter years, though I miss the mid range age. Free range is a good age. It feels and sounds as I free range between young and old and still haven't developed wrinkles. But it's really the age where most people develop a sense of self and find the end of the search in one way or another. I found and lost myself and found myself again nearly 50 and pounding on concrete but knowing better, yet weighing some more. Though not a cow, but called a heifer by some, I am feeling the heaviness of the green years on my back. I was told I should, or probably do since I'm vegan, eat only salads. I mean, moo, you know? Perhaps this goes over your head, but the heifer in me was ecstatic to be told what to eat. She is always behind me and peers her head to see what I'm doing with all this knowledge and experience. When she does, I feel like a calm, gentle gracer with a bell round my neck. Cows like to wander, hence the bell in case I get lost. And I have begun to wonder if there is the right match for me in these greener pastures of maturity and supporting roles. Spandex, anyone? Nice to meet you, fellow heifer. Ah, yes. Moo. Loving my life more than ever and wanting my lifestyle to match my career and dreams, having experienced my share of wonders, and finally settling on my surprisingly still able feet atop my cow cankles. I find it difficult to reconcile feelings with my life. I have a realistic approach which borders on a dreamy cotton candy cloud shaped with my pen and my camera. I still believe, I still have faith, but I'm beginning to wish I knew better about the shape of being more proactive and less complacent. I have been working on reshaping my body and restating my beliefs, recreating my work life to fit my lifestyle, and starting romance anew after a flagship of brokenness and failed attempts. I was still in my 30s and still a little naive when I suddenly became single for the first time after 22 years of marriage. So I wasn't exactly well versed in dating or finding suitable partners, yet I was old enough to know better, but young enough to not see it wiggle. I felt ready to mingle and have time to move about. Goodness gracious, I dated only one guy, and it was entirely the wrong guy. When you are nearly 50 and, like me, have not worked out consistently for a year, the evidence of age starts to roll out of your midsection. Gravity falls is no joke, fellow heifers. The overflow above your denim jeans has stopped being cute, and the strappy dress you used to feel like a goddess in makes you look like a Carnival Cruise Line attendee who hasn't dated or exercised in a year. Speaking of exercise, when I thought of writing this in the middle of the night, as it usually happens, I thought of The Rock. I think about him from time to time, especially when I work out, as in, what would The Rock do? He is quite handsome and incredibly Hawaiian, which appeals to me on every level. Mostly on an actress as an actress who dreams of being under his massive wings on a role. I never met him before, but he lived in our neighborhood. We were members of the same gym, and by golly, isn't that almost like being gym buddies? Anyhow, I remember being at my brother's house one late evening as he bounced in looking perky and smiling sheepishly. After showering and sitting down to dinner, he proceeded to tell us the story of the treadmill, he versus the one and only Rock. Dwayne Johnson came in and smiled at him while mounting the treadmill to his side. Big Papa Rock, as we called him in our neighborhood, sped up his machine and made sure it looked as effortless as possible, or so my brother says, running for the hills on an inclined belt. My brother, new to the gym and less likely to win a marathon at the time, tried mistakenly to keep up and ended up winded and winged. His flaps flamed by his sides like a jet plane sputtering on the last golden drops of fuel. They ran side by side for however long until the Rock left and waved. My brother kept up well enough and was in pain for a week at least, but he made it through. And to this day, it's one of his favorite stories. Only the stories from the time my grandma lived with him are better. But my grandma and her oversized panties aren't the issue here. The entry today is about exercise and being in shape or out of shape, like a heifer. So, I'll tell you quickly that my incredibly smart grandmother, who also knew her way around words, raffled a brindled cow many years ago. It was a vaca pintada, as she said. When the winner came to claim it, it was a painting of a cow, a vaca pintada in Spanish. Clever Maeva had the wits of a heifer too, only she didn't moo. She mewed. It's a Spanish thing. I'm working out steadily again and have just begun to see tangible results, which is awesome. But I haven't been dating. Not even interested lately. What gives? Bring the jam, spam. I like it when it wiggles. A guy I used to date called me fat and said he didn't like my body now. He liked my body from when we met about half a decade ago. I told him I felt the same way about his personality and we laughed. Mostly because I love my body and partly because he hates mine. But he's a bit of a dick and we both know it. In my defense, I had gained weight on purpose for a character I wanted to personify for my novel, A Midnight Sun. Side note, you'd love this dark poem, my take on a twisted fairy tale. But my jiggly belly rolled from realizing I have never felt better about myself. When I met him, I was in fact lonely and prone to wine intoxication, smoking more than a pack of 100s a day, and depressed from my broken marriage. The second time around, and already walking into my 40s, not wanting to be single and more ready to be curled up in bed with someone I loved. Men are sometimes counterintuitive, and perhaps they need a reality check as much as we do. My reality, as he checked for me, was that he was no longer interested in me in the same way as I had thought initially, which is frankly okay with me. And hey, I still like the guy enough to respect his truthfulness. Though harsh, at least he was honest and didn't string me along until I was in love and suffering from his passive aggressive and intoxicating love gasms. I should send him a Botero painting of my lovely Derriere. But, and I mean here the rebuttal, not the Derriere, I lack despite being chunky. When you are this superficial about being with someone, you ultimately end up with exactly the opposite of what you really want. He had told me when we were dating how he didn't like women with feeble minds or uninteresting personalities, meaning I was haste to presume. He liked mine since we had great conversations and laughed wholeheartedly for a solid half hour. Then he proceeded to tell me about a week after we met when I asked him to visit for half an evening of coffee and an interesting conversation. He had not had a good time with me, so lucky am I to not be good time Claire to the rescue of old, prejudiced men who don't like jiggly butts. I'd love a man who likes to grab my butt and call me smart while he sings Wiggle, 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 or getting jiggy with it. Sing it with pride, and let me work on my abs while I drink wine and daydream about acting in a movie with a rock. The perception of this perfectionistic society that we have to be a certain size to look good to an available match baffles me. Don't read me wrong here. I'm all for polished and perfumed, sexy elegance and glam. But hey, everything has a moment. And under all the spanks of a glammed up goddess may be a perfectly cute jiggly butt, imperfect and soft to the touch. What happens when the Spanx comes off and you are midway into bed with the woman you spent a lifetime waiting for gets naked to share some loving jelly rolling laughs? What happens when you roll out of bed in the morning and scratch your jiggly cheeks on your way to the bathroom? What happens when the person you had next to you a year before and got sick could move and gained a pound of fat instead of muscle? What happens when you suddenly see yourself on the other side of this and they say this to you because you have changed? Or, let's future headline this ditty, when you have a bad week or month and gain some weight because you're depressed, tired, or lonely. When you don't have time to work out because you're busy working or feeding your kids. People change. And so do our bodies. It's okay to move on from someone you aren't attracted to physically, but where is the boundary here? I guess to each their own. In my opinion, this is the version of a female deflator. I lose my desire and my libido goes, no Spanx, when I hear the words, I don't like you as you are right now. I can spruce up and look like $1,000,000, smell good, and be the goddess you'd like me to be. But if you don't like my mind and the fact I love my rolling belly, then why are you with me and not a flat bellied girl who will satisfy all your needs? They do exist. I was one of them about 20 years ago. The issue of body image is important, especially for young girls and men who grow to believe they are not enough for someone. And this is what brought me to this point. Thank you, guy with a vain view on the female body, for not liking mine. I happen to like it plenty for the two of us. I felt this way too once when I was young, inadequate, and ugly. Different and weird, not shapely enough or tall enough, or smart enough, or talented enough, or ready enough, or funny enough. The tiger in me has always felt like a heifer, though, and there is nothing wrong with that. Moo you, baby, and do it with a growl. This is Claire Hazel.